welcome to the American Sports Connection. I'm your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm here with my buddy, Mr. Adam Yurdock. Adam, how's it going, man?
I'm excited for free agency frenzy. Z. You don't have audio effects. I just do what I can.
Yeah.
I'm excited. There has been a whole lot of stuff going down in the last couple minutes. I'm super excited to dive right in.
Yeah, because everything is now like official, by the way I understand it.
Yes, and there've been like some more releases, some sudden signings, and yeah, it's going nuts.
The main one that sticks out, I don't know if it's officially been announced yet, at least like for name recognition value, is Kirk Cousins to the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's a done deal enough to call it a done deal. I was listening to some stuff on it earlier, and it's looking like a $3 million, 28 point something million a year deal.
Hey, whoever his agent is, he better give them some extra cash because he got a 3-year completely guaranteed deal.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I mean, and it's never happened before to a quarterback in a multi-year deal.
Isn't that crazy?
It isn't. And I mean, all due respect to the guy, and he is getting a deal at the right time. It kind of reminds me of what happened with Flacco some years back. I mean, it's not so much that nobody's saying he's the best quarterback. He's just taking advantage.
That came on the market.
Right, he's just taking advantage of excellent timing, but he's under 500 as a starter. I'm not saying that should necessarily prevent him from getting really high-end money. I'm just like, gee, wow, like, I'm still living in past generations when performance
it reminds me of, like you said, with Flacco, where he had, almost like Nick Foles, where he had, like, this fairy tale type end to his season and then gets a huge contract.
Exactly at the right time. And Flacco, by the way, made more money than any quarterback in the league last year. All told, everything together, $32 million.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So that's not, when you get a deal like that, that's not something.
Well, and this is the thing. I'll give Cousins a pass because he really had no help defensively.
I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't.
But this
feel
is the thing, and I'm not one to prognosticate and all this, but it's like you want to be the man. Now you got all the pressure in the world on you.
Well, now you don't have any of those. You're not going to get any passes now. I mean, because now you have the defense.
Yep.
You have an established, maybe not an established head coach, but an established coach in the league. You have a team that's competing. They just, made it to the NFC Championship.
They're ready to win now.
Yeah, and I mean, so they're good to go, technically. And, not only that, but I mean, he is, despite the win-loss record, I mean, he does have 4,000 yard passing seasons in a row. And, I mean, he certainly does possess the skill sets. Like we were talking the other day, I think he's one of the best play-action quarterbacks in the league. He's an excellent play-action quarterback. And one thing that might help him, unless they change things, I don't think they'll change them too much. But Case Keenum found himself out of the pocket a lot last year, which he's not a good out-of-pocket passer. Kirk Cousins happens to be a very good passer outside the pocket. So that could actually all kind of really work for him.
Like Lance said, the guarantee is a shocker. One injury, and bam, you're gone. That's Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes, I agree with Lance. Guaranteeing, $90 million or whatever it is, and you're right. One mishap away, and or just not even with one injury away, but just if he completely tanks, you're in for that.
The other thing, the other one that sticks out in my mind, and I told Lance this yesterday. I said, whoever Sam Bradford's agent is, this guy is a miracle worker.
Yeah, I know.
He goes and gets 2 years in Arizona at $20 million a season, and 15 of it is guaranteed.
Yes. So that's basically 75%.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
Considering his issues, this guy, I mean, I feel bad that he's been injured all the time, but he's almost like he's stealing money or team's not seeing what's going on.
I think, everybody... Well, see, the other thing, too, is that I think partly Bradford's deal is also... like, not entirely, but it's also partly a benefactor of the market right now.
That's very true as well.
Like, yeah, because, I mean, he's still young. He has a great arm, which teams like. And even though he has been injured to death, like, there have been, I guess you could say, respectable stretches where when he hasn't been hurt, like with your team, with the Eagles, where he has had some nice little runs of success when he hasn't been hurt, and I think teams are just kind of always like seeing the upside. And I mean, and let's be frank about it. What the hell are the Cardinals going to do if they don't get him or somebody in his neighborhood? And it's getting to the point right now, Joey, where if you don't drop $20 million on a quarterback, you're not getting anybody.
That's true.
Like $20 million's not much for a quarterback anymore. You probably 10 quarterbacks getting 20+ million now.
The other, the one thing that surprised me is all the Patriots guys that left.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Amendola going to Miami.
A little surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah, division rival.
Dion Lewis and
I wasn't
Malcolm
too surprised
Butler
by
both
that.
going to Tennessee.
Yeah, how about that? That's interesting.
And you just mentioned it. I heard it on the radio. Their left tackle, which is Brady's blind side, I believe, Nate Solder, going to the Giants for a ton of money.
Fortune. Yeah, 35 mil, and 20 of that is guaranteed. So there's all this guaranteed money being thrown around.
I think it's it averages out to him getting like 15+ million a year.
Yeah. Yep, and and of course he's good. And speaking of, he's going to be blocking for a new guy.
Yeah.
Over there in New York. So, I mean, but I know their line has been bad. Well, Solder, he got off to a really terrible start last year, and then he kind of got it together somewhat. But geez, again, like that kind of money, it's like, wow, holy crap! Like the Giants need a whole offensive line, basically.
They really do.
Like, how the hell are you going to pay? You're not going to pay 5 guys that kind of money. So it's like, gee, wow, you really kind of like put yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage, because I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Pugh, but he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go somewhere else, and I think that Flowers has been a disappointment. So I don't
agree.
know.
I'll say this, and this happened before the free agency period. I think the Browns are positioning themselves to be a very competitive team this year.
Man, I sure hope so, for their sake. And I mean, they're making some serious moves. And they're not just the typical Browns moves that we see again and again that just disgust us. Like, here's another quarterback.
Yeah, like they actually make sense.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Joe Thomas just retired.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, 10 years. I mean,
not to sound mean, but how much of that environment can you take?
Oh, it's more. He showed more than exemplary loyalty, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's like a German soldier hanging around in the bunker in Berlin till 1947.
That's an interesting,
sweeping the floors. I mean,
Yeah.
it's more than loyal.
Lance brings up an interesting question. Do the Browns still take the running back from Penn State at number 1 now that they signed Carlos Hyde?
Lance, I would say, yeah, they still definitely can. Like, Hyde does not preclude them from taking Barkley.
Well, most teams,
they very, very well could.
I would say, with the exception of maybe Dallas, usually have, 2-3 backs. There's no one real lead back anymore.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and this is how interesting the Browns' offseason's been. I actually was reading some stuff by, a guy who covers the Browns, which we usually don't even do because they're such a disaster.
Yeah.
But he was saying that, really by no means does signing Hyde mean they're not going to take Barkley. It makes you wonder more about what they'll do with those picks. I mean, because they could take Chubb, the pass rusher now. There's a lot of, they could trade one of those picks. There's so many options, and them signing Hyde just kind of opens it up to more choices. But no, it definitely does not mean that they will definitely not sign Barkley.
We talk about free agency. I got to tell you, I have to mock the Ravens with their free agency moves.
Okay, go ahead. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Lance said he would take Barkley at 1 and Nelson, the offensive lineman, at 4.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Now, they did sign Hubbard. They did sign an offensive lineman. Whether or not they were feeling something from Thomas that he was going to make his retirement
or they were just hedging their bets.
Right. Now, see, the other thing, too, is, there's a lot of stuff going on there because they did lose Crowell to the Jets. So really, the possibility of them wanting to acquire 2 backs is not too out of this world. More defensive help. I mean, there's a couple linebackers and there's a couple, there's a corner in there. It's really good. So, yeah, but getting a stud offensive lineman is not bad. The guy from Notre Dame, I guess.
Yeah.
Possible. There's so much going on in that top 10. I've literally seen today 3 different mocks where the top 10, none of the picks match at all. That's how much versatility there is right now.
The reason I was mocking the Ravens, they went and dumped a boatload of cash on that, was it Ryan Grant, I think it was?
The receiver from Washington.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just like, 14. Wow, that is a head-scratcher.
Yeah, they cut Macklin and then replaced him with another dubious
And then there was another one they signed. It was like, ugh.
I can't
it
remember.
Was funny. Like the caption I read is, it's like the Ravens GM Ozzie Newsome, right?
I think he's still there. Yeah.
That it was like it reeked of desperation.
Huh. Yeah. Well, they haven't done anything impressive that I've seen as of yet.
I'm trying to find who they. Oh, John Brown.
Oh, yeah. That's a non...
Because I was trying to remember, it was a guy, when I heard it, I was like, really?
Yeah. Well, how about... Well, speaking of... I know they like to pack up their defense, but how about the Bills shelling out all that money to the Washington linebacker, Murphy?
Yeah, that's another weird one.
They want to give him $10 million a year for 3 years. So I'm like, all right.
I know Lance was upset about it, but and I know you aren't particularly thrilled because he's in your division now. But Hitchens signing with Kansas City.
Yeah, I really like Hitchens, and I'm sad that he's going to go to it.
He's getting like $9+ million a year.
Yeah, if he stays healthy.
Yeah, they signed him and Sammy Watkins, which was interesting because I know people in the league are like still excited about Sammy Watkins, but I find him to be a big disappointment.
People still see a huge upside for him, and everybody wants to be the one to like turn the key that's going to unlock his potential. But like with every passing year, it's like, you know.
I know what you mean. Hey, and your favorite team to ridicule, the Bears, went out and spent some cash for your buddy Trubisky to get him some weapons.
Well, Trey Burton, who, you know, I mean, I hate to see him go there, but, you know, great athletic tight end.
I think he can be like a 70-catch tight end.
Oh, I'm sure of it. You know, maybe even there, which would be like 120 catches anywhere else. It's like dog years and human years. You have to like translate it.
Well, they got him, and then they got Allen Robinson, who I really like.
And, you know, I have to say, and I love Allen Robinson. He's still very young, and you got to remember he led the league in touchdowns 2 years ago. But I don't understand. Like, I understand it with some of these guys because they're basically done. But why do these guys go to the Bears if they think they've got anything left in the tank? I don't get it. It is a wide-out graveyard, as we've discussed before.
Yeah, what's Brandon Marshall was the last good one they had.
Yeah, and I understand. Yeah, and he got the hell out, and I understand like why, you know, like Victor Cruz ended up there because there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
but, like,
that was sad.
That was sad. Well, because you knew it's his funeral. Yeah, it's a death march. But why? You know, and I'm just like, you know, Allen Robinson. He's so. I just think it's bad judgment by a young player. It's like, yeah, you're going to get paid, but dude,
but
your
I think
legacy.
He only signed a 3-year deal.
Yeah, it's not a huge deal. So
it's like, you know, when the deal's over, he'll be 27, and then he can hit the market again.
Yeah, he can get out of there. It's just 3 years.
I know what you mean.
He's not going to catch more than 50 balls. You know?
Here you go. Lance is saying Jordy Nelson has set up visits with the Saints, Raiders, and Seahawks.
Yep, but he's going to the Raiders first, and he's not leaving, Lance. He's not leaving. He's just take that limo right back to the airport. He's not leaving. McKenzie and his other ex-Packers guys, they'll keep him there. I think he's such a great fit for that offense that they're going to install there. It's so similar to what they do in Green Bay. 3 wideouts, 1 tight end, base offense. Oh, I think that will be an awesome acquisition for them. Absolutely.
That was the interesting thing. The Packers cut him, and then they signed Jimmy Graham, who I think is a phenomenal signing for them.
I think that he can be.
That's what I mean with Rodgers.
Yeah, like you made a point the other day, like you said, well, Rodgers could really make him go to another level. And I agree with that, but I also see Graham as being like at a crossroads where you almost have to worry, like, have you seen the best of him? Like he's at one of those crossroads. Like he's either going to like explode with this signing, or he's just gonna go downhill. Like this will tell.
The reason I say it is because if Aaron Rodgers could get, you know, I think it was at least 6 or 7 touchdowns out of Richard Rodgers, and that's what you could do with Jimmy Graham.
No, I totally understand, but my other concern is that for some odd reason, they've just been cycling through tight ends and have not really. And I mean, it's not anybody's. I mean, maybe they just haven't got the right guy, but they've kind of been, you know, been chewing through tight ends and not really been able to settle on a guy. And it's like, gee, you know, you would think that would be something they would really nail down for him. But I don't know. But I do think this will be this definitive signing of Graham's career. This is the final fork in the road for him. If he doesn't, you know, yeah.
Lance says if they sign Jordy, that the offense would be a beast. Do they stick with Lynch?
Well, this offense that Greg Olson, the Rams' former offensive coordinator, is going to install. is going to require an every down back. So something's going to have to change because obviously Lynch was not an every down back last year. Now, Gruden has publicly called out Lynch and said, hey, Marshawn, I love you, but I need full-time beast mode. You put that uniform in, I need full-time Marshawn Lynch, not part-time. So is Marshawn Lynch smart enough and capable of being the every down back in this offense? Oh, absolutely. Pass catching, pass protecting, knowing all the different, play. Absolutely, he's capable of that. But a decision's going to have to be made is if his attention span is going to be there or not. And if not,
if he's going to be focused.
Yes, that's really the tipping point is going to be his attitude and his focus and his attention span, because there's really nobody on the current roster that is that every down back. So if it's not him, somebody's going to have to come in and be that guy, or they're going to have to look to draft that guy. So yeah, they need an every down back. It could be Lynch. Money is another factor. He's getting $7 million coming up. So he's really going to have to show John Gruden that he's all in. And as much as my heart would love to see him commit and be that, I'm slightly leaning towards no, but it could happen. I'm just kind of not convinced that it will happen. It's like 60-40, probably not.
Listen to this, not to backtrack about Sammy Watkins.
Go ahead.
But I just read this. It says his 3-year, $48 million deal is fronted with a $21 million signing bonus. He gets $34 million over the first 2 years. 30 of it is fully guaranteed.
So that's almost $1 million guaranteed per reception he had last year. He had like 35 catches last year, 38. Yeah, well, good for him.
Yeah,
well, this market's kooky.
Miami has officially cut Ndamukong Suh and Julius Thomas.
Oh, okay. Orange Julius. Okay. Yep.
And you might get your wish. The Steelers have officially released William Gay, Mike Mitchell, and Robert Golden. Wow.
So they want to continue to retool that secondary.
I agree, Lance. And he said Sammy Watkins needs to go to jail for robbery.
Yeah. You could press charges.
Hey, we're in the wrong line of work.
You got a case. Oh, hell yeah. When I think about, me sitting there balancing my checkbook, oh my God.
Here's something, this just came across. It says the Colts are signing former Raiders defensive end Denico Autry.
Yeah, I don't care for him.
Listen to this. To a 3-year deal worth $17.8 million, $7 million in the first year.
What can I say? It's not a huge deal by these standards that we're seeing. I mean, to me, he's a rotation guy. He's mediocre. He's not a big penetrator. He's a pretty good engine guy. But he's not a go-to guy. I mean, I don't particularly care for him.
As I read these across the wire, some of them I shake my head. If you're not aware, the Jets signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year deal. It says
15.
Yeah, worth up to 15.
Right. Yeah, so that's how they salvaged their being left alone on the boardwalk at night quarterback situation.
Yeah. And then Josh McCown gets like $9 million, I think it was.
Yeah.
To come back for a year.
Uh-huh. So they're really kind of like saying, we're paying both these guys because we don't know what the hell is going to happen. we're kind of thinking we're going to need both of them at some point.
This one intrigues me. Seattle is bringing in Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Ed Dickson to visit.
And Oakland will be visiting with the hyphenated guy as well.
The hyphenated guy.
Yeah, he's a former Packer, right? And when he with Green Bay at some point, yeah. I think he. I'm not saying like the whole time, but I think at some point he was because he's another guy that knows Jordy Nelson. They were saying, oh, all these Green Bay guys, hanging around Oakland. So,
And Lance says paying the quarterbacks, and then they'll probably draft a quarterback. Jets being the Jets.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like they know their quarterback situation is going to fail, so they just like want to have several to go through because they know it's gonna suck. So
the Lions officially release Eric Ebron.
Yeah, I think that's just a situation that didn't work out there, and I never trust when a player fails with the Lions. Like that doesn't tell me anything about who you are as a human being. Just change of scenery. I think the guy can play somewhere else. Nah, that tells me nothing.
Yeah, the other thing that was interesting, New Orleans overpaying, I think, for defensive help.
Uh-huh.
They signed former Jets linebacker Demario Davis.
Yeah, he's not all that.
3 years, $24 million, $18 million guaranteed.
Good Lord. Well, they are going to lose Vaccaro in free agency.
Well, and then they re-signed the guy they drafted, Patrick Robinson.
Oh yeah, he got paid a lot of money by who? Oh,
the Saints.
No, but I mean, where did he go?
New Orleans.
Oh, okay, all right.
He signed. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to find the exact amount because I read it and I was just like, what? Because it was like an absurd amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't. Oh, here it is. The contract reportedly is worth up to $20 million with $10 million guaranteed.
Right, and yeah. So, and while we're on Jets Saints type issues, now the Jets they're going out and they're grabbing more defensive help because they got that Trumaine Johnson that everybody wanted.
Yes.
The corner from the Rams. And they got this linebacker, Avery Williams, who I'm kind of like, they're giving him a $22.5 million deal. And I'm like, really? But again, this is the new market. We're seeing the new market here.
Yeah, Lance said the Bears signed Chase Daniels.
I saw that, yeah. Well, the Bears always have to have that crappy backup quarterback that you feel sorry for.
Mike Glennon.
Like I hope it never, I hope it never comes down to blank. And it's like that guy that you just feel bad for and you hope it doesn't.
Lance said the Lions just need to dump the tight end position and go 4 wide, 1 running back.
Go back to the old run and shoot days, when you had oh God, I can't remember the names of all those wideouts that they had, but yeah, they had a run and shoot thing going back in the day with Barry for a while. Yeah, you may as well go ahead because you're right. They do go through. They do that with running backs too, though. They keep.
Your favorite running back is gonna pay a visit to the Lions.
Oh, yeah, and I saw that. Now I forgot who it is again.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore. Well, he's gonna be done there because everybody gets all the running backs get hurt there for some reason.
That's where they say where quarterbacks go to die. That's like where running backs go to die. That's
like the Bears and receivers. Yeah, that's the Lions and running backs because they've drafted some nice ones over the years, but they need to call I don't know, OSHA or something. They have safety issues.
Lance said it worked at Tecmo Bowl for them.
Yeah, it did, dude. Right? The 4 wideouts. If it worked with Andre Ware, my God, it could work with anybody.
Hey,
yeah.
This is the thing. Frank Gore is 76 yards away from passing Curtis Martin to be
Yeah.
number 4 all time in rushing yards.
He'll get it.
That's what I'm thinking. He'll
Yeah.
probably get it. He won't catch Barry though,
Nah.
because he would need another 1,200 and some change.
Well, I tell you, I never say never to Frank Gore, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
think he's one of the more underappreciated running backs. What he's done over the years.
Absolutely. Well, he's just kind of one of those guys that quietly, consistently piled up the yardage. Matter of fact, it's kind of ironic that he's passing my favorite Martin, because Martin was a lot like that. Right?
Here you go, Adam. Lance said Andre Ware, if I could talk, and Rodney Pete loved that team on Tecmo.
Yeah, and then Lance on defense, they had Michael Kofer and Spielman, the linebackers. You always blitz with those guys.
Hey,
And
they
they
had
had
the
that-
guy from my hometown on that team, George Jameson.
Jameson, they had he was slow though. Unless he was excellent, he was slow as crap. And then they had William White, the safety, always good for like 9 or 10 interceptions, could force fumbles when he tackled guys. The Lions were hellacious on Tecmo Bowl. Absolutely
Patriots
hellacious.
finally make a move and they re-sign Burkhead to a multi-year contract.
I did see that.
Because that's really the first move I've really heard them make.
Like aside from like losing people, yeah.
Other than that trade they did with the Browns.
Getting Shelton, the defensive tackle,
Which I
yeah.
actually think is a really good move.
And before I forget, thinking about Lance's comment about Detroit tight ends, I think this guy was one. The Browns signed Daniel Fells, who I believe was a former Detroit Lions tight end.
Hmm.
So, I'll tell you, the Browns
He
are
said
making
run
moves.
1 or pass 4.
Yeah, run 1. I definitely remember. Pass 4. That was probably the all streaks, the Hail Marys. See, I used to like to just throw underneath it to Sanders and like let him juke out the whole team. Yeah, I could throw in the bomb. That was easy, but like I used to just like to give it to Barry, like let him rush for 450 yards.
Here's something I wanted to tell you was a rumor.
Okay.
Because Michael Bennett signed with the with the Eagles now.
Yes.
There was a rumor that his brother Martellus wants to play with him.
Okay.
Like, I guess they were trying to do that last season because Martellus went there and they wanted to play it. They wanted to play together since college, from what I understand.
Gotcha.
And I was like, that would be a very interesting locker room.
Well, you know what is really interesting about the Eagles? They kind of like have, and this would continue if they signed Emperor Martellus. They have like the all activism team. You got Chris Long, Malcolm Jenkins. Now you got Michael Bennett and his brothers.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much in social activism, but very much in community activism.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, and I mean, it's common ground. I mean, it certainly couldn't hurt in a locker room, I don't think, to...
Speaking of them, did you see Bradham got his deal?
I did not.
They re-signed him. I just have to get the exact number. I saw it, and I was like, wow. 5 years, $40 million.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that means I was laughing. I said Kendricks is probably on the outs. But then again, we've said that for the last 5 years.
Yeah, that guy's like, that guy is like mold. It's just a lot easier to talk about getting rid of him than it is to actually
Well,
scrub
and it's
him.
interesting because the Eagles signed that linebacker from Denver.
Yeah, see, that's the thing when you told me about him that made me wonder about Kendricks' future, and now obviously with the re-signing of Bradham. But yeah, that when they signed that guy, that really makes you think, who's
Well, and I can't
who's the
remember what
fifth
former
wheel?
Eagles player it was. I heard him on the radio. He says it feels like they're transitioning more to a 5-2 scheme
Okay,
with 5 down linemen and 2 backers.
gotcha.
I said that's possible.
Yeah, it could be done.
I don't think you could run it as a base, but
Nah, you got to be flexible with it. Yeah, you got to be flexible with it. You can do a lot of
we didn't
a
mention
lot of
this
stuff.
guy. Jonathan Stewart went and signed with the Giants.
So yeah, we touched on it briefly. Yeah, and I think that's the Giants are the kind of team they always should have a good physical running back. So they got that now.
Yeah, not like a certain guy named Brandon Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, my all disappointments team of all time. Yeah,
I know. I always bring him up because you have such like a visceral reaction.
it's just disgusting that a guy can be so big and strong and run so. Is aphysical a word? Non-physical? I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Just go down on the first hit and run too straight up and just do everything anti a big strong back should do. It's just frustrating. Yeah, terrible. But
I
yeah,
don't know if we mentioned this, but the Honey Badger was cut.
I think we mentioned we talked about it before the show. Hey, Oakland baby, come on,
Yeah.
put him with one of our young safeties. That would be awesome. And we need a ball hawk.
I know TJ Carey signed with the Browns.
Good riddance.
Well, I always remember I would pick him up in fantasy this year because he always would make tackles.
Yeah, well, yeah. Your secondary makes tackles when the defense is really bad, sure. Or like if you can't cover a receiver, you just end up tackling him after he makes the catch. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Rappaport is reporting that Burkhead deal is very heavy on guaranteed money.
Yeah, well, there seemed to be a lot of that going around. And by the way, that Solder deal is 4 years, $62 million, 35 of which is guaranteed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like Lance said, average players are getting way overpaid.
Yeah, I guess this must be the new normal for this. I think we're seeing the new pay scale here. Might be the story of that might be the other big story of today. We're seeing the new wage scale. It's insanity.
Here's something interesting. Seattle let Thomas Rawls become a free agent.
Huh. How about that?
The same for that Mike Davis as well.
That's another running back, right?
Yep.
I kind of like that Mike Davis, and I think he's a guy that also does some pass catching, so I'm sure he'll be useful somewhere. What is that? I mean, they were looking at Murray, though, after the Titans got rid of him.
That's right, I forgot, because Murray got cut.
Yeah, they were looking at Murray, and they have that McKisson that I believe they're fairly high on.
Oh, that reminds me.
Yes.
McKinnon went to
the Niners.
49ers. He got a hell of a lot of money, too.
They gave him a boatload.
I agree, Lance. He said cap trouble's down the road for a lot of these teams dishing out big-time money.
It's got to be, especially with so much of it being guaranteed. It's got to be, like short-term thinking. I understand why Minnesota did it, but to give up that much guaranteed money is just insanity to me. Yeah, I know. What about speaking of the Niners? I know they're aggressively trying to rebuild on what they already have, which I think is going in the right direction. And I like him as a player, but gee, what about Richard Sherman? $13 million a year with 2 bad Achilles.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that
who would be a really good fit for them would be, and I think Shanahan could get that raw potential that everyone saw out of him is Ebron.
Oh yeah. Yeah. absolutely.
I think he'd be a fantastic fit for them.
Well, I know that I know that Shanahan would be wanting a more pass catchy kind of a back like McKinnon more so than Hyde. So I kind of figured, something was going to happen because Hyde would never be happy there. And then remember towards the end of last year, Hyde's carries started to go way down.
Yeah.
Even when he was physically okay. So yeah, but yeah, you're right about that. But there's another thing that's kind of developed. A guy that looks pretty good as a player is that other San Francisco safety, Reed, but they're questioning whether teams will look past him because of his activism. He was the one that was always kneeling next to Colin Kaepernick.
Right. I do know this because I read it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was John McClain that reported it. The guy that's the big news guy for the Texans.
Yes.
That their owner said not to sign any of those players.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all because he's the guy that said the prisoners are running the jail or whatever. Yeah.
But he doesn't want like any of the activism-y type players.
Right. Yeah. It's up to him. I mean, he's the owner, but he's going to miss out on a lot of talent.
Well, and it just makes you look bad.
Well, it kind of makes you look like a jerk too, because
that's what I mean.
If something's even arguably worth standing up for, even if it's debatable, I mean, why would you not invite that? I mean, I don't know. That's a whole other thing, but I kind of was under the impression that that's what this country was about. You get to express yourself, and then it's okay to disagree, and So, but yeah, but bottom line is, and I like the Texans. I like the team they're putting together. He's just punishing the roster. Yeah. He's punishing the fans. He's punishing, he's punishing
because if you're competitive, you're gonna get more money.
And he's punishing the other teammates. Hey, J.J. Watt may feel like that, but I'm sure J.J. Watt would probably, be in favor of saying, hey, look, I don't need these guys to agree with me about everything to be able to play alongside of them. I mean, that's, that not only is what football is all about, that's what the old USA is about. But, that coming from him, not surprising.
This is an interesting question. Lance said, do you think Kaepernick gets a shot, or does he have to wait for the XFL?
I think as much as it's going on this long, Lance, I don't see it happening. I think it's one of them things, the longer it it's like a boat that you just kind of
like
slide.
Both sides have dug in.
Yeah, it's like when you set a boat, like you just kind of push it off into the ocean. It's not going to stay in one place. It's going to drift away. This thing is drifting.
I would say no is because he's suing the league.
That's another thing. That's another distraction that teams just aren't going to want as well. But talent-wise, ability-wise, and character-wise, there is no. When you take a look at some of the quarterback. When you look at the overall quarterback roster, there is no reason in hell why he should not be a quarterback somewhere in this league, somewhere on somebody's depth chart. We could debate starter, second, but you can't tell me he doesn't belong on a roster somewhere in this league. It's ridiculous to even argue that when you look at some of the names, especially some of the names who are backups in this league. Come on. But I don't think it's going to happen now. I just think the boat's drifting out over the horizon. I think it's kind of a lost cause now.
Yeah, I think so too. We were talking about the Niners. I think they're going to be the big surprise team this year.
I think they're back. I think they're well on their way back. I really do. But I think that Garoppolo has to be ready too. That defenses and coordinators are going to be taking him seriously. They're going to be preparing for him.
I agree with you.
They're gonna throw some funky junk at him, But I'm sure he'll probably be prepared for that.
It should be interesting to say the least.
I think, and again, I don't mean to like just keep every time a secondary comes up, say Raiders, but they just need secondary help so bad. It's the first team that every time a secondary guy becomes available, I just think Raiders. But I think that
you're going to be like the stupid fish in the is it the Finding Nemo movie where mine?
Yeah. The Niners, I think, are they right now saying, okay, we just signed Sherman to $40 million, and now here's Tyrann Mathieu signed that just gets cut.
You might think I'm crazy saying this, but I almost feel because Sherman was his own agent doing that deal.
Oh, he wanted to screw Seattle.
That's what I mean.
He admitted it.
He stayed in that division to stick it to him.
Oh, he admitted it. He said something. There was a direct quote attributed to him in which he said the word, I believe, punish was used or something. They even argued about it on First Take about whether he was too concerned with sticking it to the Seahawks in his decision-making process. But I mean, hey, if sticking it to the Seahawks gets him $13 million a year, that's fine. But I just wonder if, like, tactically, the Niners are kind of like sitting there looking, okay, we just signed this older guy who's showing a little age, who has two, busted a kill, coming off two busted a kill, just gave him $13 million a year, and then, and now all of a sudden, okay, whammo, here comes the Honey Badger. But I don't think that Sherman is official on ink yet. Maybe so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, at least I haven't
seen. To me, that's sounding like a whole TO thing where like the players' union's gonna not be happy of the deal he made.
Yeah, well, tough crap is what I say.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
No, but I hear you. No, I hear you. But I would love to have Tyrann Mathieu. Talk about upside. Sheesh.
I agree. Here, I forgot. Arizona signed Mike Glennon as well. Remember the poor bastard? He was with the Bears. He got like half a dozen starts, and all that money.
Yeah. Well, you don't mess around with the Bears. Like I tried to say earlier, you just don't do it. It's not a place for the passing game.
I agree. Ryan in our chat said Seattle imploded. They're blowing that thing up.
It sure looks like it.
Well, because they traded Bennett.
Yep.
There was a couple other defensive guys that left or they moved.
Yeah, Thomas is going to go.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he had mentioned that last season to Dallas.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to be Dallas, but he's going to go. I think he'll go. So it'll be costly, but he'll go somewhere. Yeah, definitely. I feel that he will. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was the rumors that Chancellor's career might be over because of that neck injury he has.
Which is a shame because I love Chancellor.
The only guy that's really left on that defense is Bobby Wagner.
Yes. Right. Is Cliff Averill still there?
Maybe.
Yeah, I want to say, well, too, like with the running game's been a carousel ever since Lynch too. Like with the running backs, coming and going, getting hurt, moving on. I was going to say too that the wide receiver Richardson went over to the Redskins.
Yeah, that was another weird deal.
Yeah, well, I guess it was way just
overpaid.
Yeah, I think that they're just. I think that was kind of a plug and play for. Well, we got rid of Grant. Well, we'll take Richards. I think it was just kind of a.
All right, Lance said Averill might have to retire too. I remember now neck injury.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's right. there's actually two of them. Okay, yeah, yeah. That era in Seattle is done. We'll see how much of a genius Pete Carroll is now.
Yeah, because they basically have to rebuild the whole thing around Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson's going to be there, and I guess with male pattern bald one, he's going to still be there. Everybody else,
I can't. Yeah.
I mean, the O line, they're all going to have to be trashed. That's garbage.
Man, their offensive. How do I want to say this? When I watch them play Seattle, it's literally like when you were in like middle school, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna like run around and go in circles and do a whirly bird, and then you just get open.
It's just it's like exactly schoolyard football. Yeah. Like everybody go out.
Just run around.
Like those pickup games, like where like you were like like you could have like two rushers, one on each side of the quarterback.
Yeah.
So like you would tell the two fattest guys on your team, like you block, everybody else go out.
Yep.
And the two slobs that were blocking didn't know what the hell they were doing, Yeah. That's really what it was like. I mean, Wilson would just extend the plays and they would run all over the place.
It's the most, like, if you're playing them, it's the most frustrating thing to watch.
It is, because I think that the defenses can see that it's not particularly well structured, although I'm sure they practice it, but it's not like anything really, on a blueprint that you can really read. Like, you can study it on film, but it's like it's open to anything. Like, guys will just take off anywhere. You don't know what the hell's going to happen.
No, I agree with you.
And when those plays break down, guys just take off all over the place. And Wilson's a danger to run it all 40 yards. So
it's like a bunch of cockroaches. Scatter.
Yeah, and you can have them covered. You can have everybody covered. That's the other frustrating thing. And you can get pressure, and you can be right there on top of Wilson, and he just does that spin, and all of a sudden he's in the clear. And it is. You're right. It is extremely frustrating to play them. But that is.
But now, like you said, now you're going to see how good Pete Carroll really is.
He's going to have to structure something, and he's going to have a whole defense, and it's crunch time now. Yeah,
I agree. Now you're basically down to, and I no knocking these guys. You're down to like more second tier and third tier free agents.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true, Lance. They're going to have to score 40 if they want to win.
Yeah, and you see that, even with some of those guys still around, they didn't make the playoffs last year. So think about that. They still had some of those guys and they didn't make it. Now they lose some more guys, and I'm not seeing any notable additions. I mean, we'll see how their draft is, but as of right now, they're even thinner. I don't see any notable offensive line signings, so it's like now they're just getting thinner.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted your opinion on it. Green Bay trading for DeShone Kizer.
I was just thinking about the joke I told you when I first heard about. What is it with the what is it with Green Bay and the backup quarterbacks of a light skin complexion?
Yeah,
some kind of conspiracy there. I don't know what you read into it.
That's terrible.
Kizer, I tell you, I love the kid's energy, and I love his competitiveness. And I love his desire. I just, he actually may not be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't know, but I'm having my doubts. So maybe Green Bay saw the same thing and said, maybe this is sort of a 1B, 2A kind of a quarterback. Maybe we can kind of push him a little,
wondering,
see what we can get.
Not to cut you off,
go ahead.
Is this like making Aaron Rodgers look over his shoulder because he's not getting any younger?
Well, that's true. Kaiser is still young, but I would have
Because Rogers
to say
is going to be 34 or 35.
right. That's right. My problem with that supposition is that I really just don't see Kaiser as the guy that's going to supplant him or dethrone him in that position. Because you got to go back and you got to look at a couple of things, a couple criticisms on Kaiser he's a turnover machine. He really is. And the other thing that I have to look back and say, he wasn't even really good in his last year at Notre Dame. So he almost was kind of like struggling before he even got started in the NFL, which gives me concerns. Although that may not be entirely his fault, but it does give me concerns. So
no, I
now,
agree.
so
All
I
right,
just have an issue with saying that he's gonna threaten Aaron Rodgers. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just a solid backup.
Before we get out of here and wrap up, Adam, Lance wants to know who is the biggest winner team-wise in free agency so far. He says the Browns, and as a player, he says Kirk Cousins.
Man, I don't think you can argue with Cousins. He got biggest paycheck, became the highest paid quarterback, all guaranteed, and he went from the Redskins to the team that lost in the NFC Championship last year, and given that defense appears to pretty much be remaining, and he's an upgrade at quarterback, I think. I mean, at least right now, it looks like an excellent situation. So yeah, I agree. I mean, the Browns, I mean, they have moves to make. So I'll say, Lance, prohibitively I'll agree with you, but I don't think I can't just give it to the Browns solely on the fact that they've got moves. I mean, the fact that they have
made moves.
Yeah, the fact that they have more chips, to start with, doesn't really make them the winners, but as of right now, I'm really not overwhelmed by anybody else to where I would say like quantity or quality over quantity. And I do like what the Browns are doing so far, and depending on what they do money-wise in the draft. But yeah, I would say so far, the Browns are looking very good, and what they have done is looking very sharp. And Joey, we talked about this before that people laugh, but an 0-16 team we said was going to control the entire universe of this free agency and this draft, and
look at all the trades and picks they've already moved around.
And look what they've already done. I think it was like, what was it, 110 million in cap space, 4 picks in the top 35, and already that prediction is coming true. So yeah, an 0-16 team can guide the whole steering wheel. They're kind of steering the whole things, and a lot of teams kind of, yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, but a lot of teams have to kind of say, well, let's wait and see what the Browns do. What are the Browns going to do?
Yeah.
It's insane, but yeah, so yeah, I could buy that so far. So far, they're doing very good for themselves.
No, I agree with you. But on that note, we're going to get out of here for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, give it a thumbs up, all that stuff, and we'll see you back next time. Have a good night, everybody.